And
Yeah,
we'll get started.
We're gonna go. Back Alley Smoke Show.
Episode 2. We're here and we finally got our names figured out.
Yeah.
So we are now officially Back Alley Smoke Show, and we're looking to pump out a few episodes each week. So there's going to be a good amount of content for y'all to take part in. We're going to start off first. Did y'all hear about that Dallas air show crash?
Was it recent?
Just happened, yeah.
Like yesterday, today? What?
I don't know if it was yesterday, but so you know the big. Remember when? I don't know if you were in the car with me. Maybe I was on the phone with you when we were going to Randolph Air Show.
Okay. Yeah, because we were in separate vehicles.
Yeah, separate vehicles. But you remember the big old school propeller plane?
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those.
The bomber?
I don't think it was a bomber. It was like a cargo plane, but it was a propeller cargo plane, old school, like World War II era. And then this World War II era, like small prop.
It wasn't the gunner? The gunner?
It might have been a gunner. I don't know. But it was one of those big ones. And one of these small little Mustangs flew and hit. Like he was flying. And I guess
Did he die?
they both died, dude.
Holy.
They were probably maybe 100 to 200 feet above the ground. And ended up, colliding right when the big plane was like getting
Ball
a little
of
bit more
flames.
out. Oh, yeah. Well, it clipped it, and it looked like the small one just disintegrated in parts, and then the other one looked like the wings got knocked off, and immediately took a nosedive and just hit the ground within like 2 seconds, all engulfed in flames. Pretty fucking awesome. Or not awesome. Shit, that's bad. It was. It wasn't awesome.
It was
but
pretty fucking awful.
It was very awful. Okay,
Yeah.
There was like 6 people in this like crash, and they all had families, and it's a god awful event. I'm not saying it just looked really cool. It kind of was. Okay, it's a tragic. All right, let's just change to the fact that we give all their condolences to their families, and we hope they can.
I think you just tripped on your words.
Yeah.
I don't think you really.
Yeah, it wasn't like a deep-seated Freudian slip or anything.
I'm just saying the explosion itself looked like something out of a Hollywood movie. And so maybe that was what I was fixated towards. And to me, the flames were awesome, but
it would have been
that
cool.
There were 6 people that died and left their families behind.
It would have been cool if it was a movie and it was special effects. But the fact that it had real tragic losses, it was a travesty.
Yeah,
well, what a way to
travesty.
Start an episode.
Yeah.
It's like that Norm Macdonald bit. He's like, that tragedy 9/11. And he just goes.
Well, I'll at least tell you this: it's not a travesty for y'all. It wasn't y'all's family, unless
It was.
God. All right, change the subject because I don't want to get like.
We don't want to get too serious here.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Gosh. Why'd you start it off with such a somber subject, Mike?
Because I saw it like
Just
probably
now?
an hour ago. 2
Okay,
hours.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
On your mind.
He sent it to me. I hadn't looked up the video yet, and I just thought it was like an old event. I didn't know it was recent.
Yeah.
So I didn't open it. If I would have known it was today, I would have.
I don't know if it was today though.
It was recent. I think it was recent because I've been seeing a lot about it.
Okay. I gotcha. All right.
Pass me that pipe.
I'm not done with it yet.
What about that dude that is legally blind dude? I don't remember where it was, but it was recent too. Had his stick folded up, the little scene stick, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He had
Scene
it folded up in his back pocket. And this fucking lady cop. The worst thing that could ever happen to the police force was hiring women.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm just kidding. But she was like a little power trip fucking mistress, man. Like, ended up stopping this dude, legally blind, thinking that he was armed. The dude pulled it out. He kind of pulled it out in an aggressive fashion. I don't know if y'all have seen the video.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was like the worst way you could pull out something that a cop suspects is a gun. But he pulls it out regardless.
Because he doesn't know anything because he's blind.
Well, he's legally blind. He's walking without a stick, so maybe he only needs it in the nighttime. Who knows?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, everyone's got vision.
They were bugging him about it, and he pulls it out to verify that it's not, in fact, a gun. And there was no probable cause to search for his ID or, question him any further. and they ended up putting him in handcuffs because you've already clarified that it's not a gun anymore. Her, like, I guess, I don't know what the hell you call him, but pretty much the person above her, you know, that you would call to come to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
He was already there, pulled up in his squad car, and he was on the same boat as, you know, her. It was like, give your ID still. And dude was like, no. Like, the state in which you don't have to if there's no reasonable suspicion of committing a crime.
No.
And when he pulled out that thing to verify that it wasn't a firearm, you know, it kind of just like, it set up like, hey, what you pulled me over for in the beginning was suspicion of me having a weapon. Now you've 100% verified that the thing that you thought was a weapon is not a weapon. It is, in fact, my seeing stick because I'm legally blind. They don't ever like the idea of just being like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, no.
Go on with your day. They never want to apologize for shit. And they just fucking arrested him, and, you know, hopefully he's got a lawsuit on that.
Yeah, a lot of times the cop's ego gets in the way of things.
And that's what I'm saying about the girl cops. You know, their egos are usually larger than life.
Well,
so.
I think there's a lot of cops.
You're trying to attract the attention of Bill Burr, I see.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know what Bill Burr's take would be on this.
Yeah, but I love watching those videos, those like audit videos, or like Audit the Audit. It's a great channel for like watching people like interact with cops and stuff, and those like interactions where the cops are like persistent on like trying to like, you know, arrest somebody for something, and it's like they've already alleviated the suspicion. But I will say I was watching a video earlier today about like where it was the other way, where it wasn't the cop being crazy. It was this dude who was at like a restaurant. He had like this crazy like throat metal singing that he had on on a boombox or something. He was playing it for this girl that he liked, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like going, and it was like apparently they were coworkers or whatever, and he was going into the like parking lot of this restaurant. It was a Cracker Barrel is what it was. A Cracker Barrel restaurant.
I love Cracker Barrel. Shout out to Cracker Barrel.
And so he goes and he's like playing a song to her that sounds like terrible, and to try to like profess his love to her or whatever, and she's like losing it and like goes and she like runs away, and he chases after her. Now she calls her dad, to which her dad gets a hold of him somehow and like threatens him like any father would, you know, threaten somebody that's like, you know, chasing their daughter.
Yeah.
And so then this dude is like, you know what, I'm gonna call the cops on the dad for threatening me to report the dad while I'm at this restaurant where this girl is.
Did she work at Cracker Barrel?
No, I think she was just eating there. And so, anyway, he was like filming it like, you know, those auditors do, like to try to like get the police something, like he thought he was in the right, like he was the one justified, like, you know, going and chasing this woman. And like, it was just really funny. Like he had like no self-awareness too. It was just like you know, some women, they're really into BDSM and stuff. Whoa. And bondage and stuff. And then he started like saying stuff like in real like talking about how like, oh yeah, some girls like to pretend to get raped, and like talking about this with the cop on video, and then being like, women are crazy running away from me, huh? Like, and the cop's just like, what are you talking about? What? It was like the cop was just like...
It only works in some scenarios. Like, I know it happened with me and Ashlyn that way. But, you know, sometimes it works in your favor.
I know.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, in a week, you'll have baby number 2.
Oh, yeah. Guys, I'm having a baby next week. If it doesn't come earlier than next week, for sure going to be next week because my wife's getting induced. Which reminds me...
Speaking of the blind guy that got accused of having a gun, I like to stay on that just a little bit longer because it has nothing to do. That was the guy playing the victim. Have you ever seen a blind witness in a crime? Have they ever been brought in?
That's a good point. I think maybe a hearing witness, but at that point, you know.
Is it hearsay or see-say?
It's called hearsay.
It had to be hearsay.
But the hearsay is whenever it's like objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
But what if a hearsay, don't you have to see and visibly see it? Maybe it's the opposite.
Hearsay is like casting doubt.
So maybe it is see-say. Because it's the opposite. Like most witnesses see, and if it's a hearsay, if they oppose.
So that reminds me too. Do they drink and take supplements like emergency, vitamin C, drink high C in order to compensate for not being able to truly see?
What kind of poetry is this?
I don't know, but it should be in a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. That's
all these C's.
But I mean, honestly, that'd be like a Dr. Seuss After Hours book.
I would get Michael Jackson to come back and sing ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3.
That was a Jackson 5, so I'm pretty sure they could still sing that.
Wait,
well, it's a Jackson 4 now, right?
Yeah, it's a Jackson 4.
Are they all still
but,
besides him? I don't know.
I don't know if all of them are, but maybe 3 of them are. But they have a hologram of Michael Jackson.
So it'd be the Jackson 3. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
All right, Aaron.
Oh, God.
You're singing now. This isn't a radio program.
You want to know something? Last episode, we were talking about the McDonald's shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And we got McDonald's today at that same place.
I always pass by that same parking lot as a memorial, a tribute to that man. Hopefully, I mean, I say man, he was 17 years old. He could be tried as a man. However, I didn't know the full outcome. I don't know if he had like 6 or 7 bullet holes in him.
He got charged.
He got charged.
Of course.
But hopefully he was able to still sue that cop to pay for his charges.
I'm hoping the 444 guy ends up representing him.
That dude's about commercial trucks.
Yeah.
He's got to have somebody in his law firm.
That's like calling Thomas J. Henry or Bill Adler and Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer. We'll fight for you.
Hey, I've never been like more confident about going out in life than knowing that, possibly Jim Adler would have my back in something like that legally.
It's true.
So,
like a real life Better Call Saul.
Yeah, he's a real life Better Call Saul. And have you seen that? No, maybe it was Thomas J. Henry, but he always poses like he has a commercial with him and his private jet and a Rolls Royce. You don't go to a broke attorney from a broke ass law firm. You go to the ones that bring out big cash, especially with an incident like that. 6 bullet holes, like what? You just a walking another 50 cent,
Nah, man, you could play the live action SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah. Speaking of things that could get lawsuits from cops and stuff,
or The Mask with OJ.
Oh yeah. He's like, you got me, partner.
He's not drinking the orange.
He's like, don't tell me, Tim. I won't be coming home for Christmas. Tell old man, it's getting dark.
Aaron's gonna quote the whole movie.
He's like,
I love his quote.
tell Susie, I do give a damn.
What I was gonna say is speaking of lawsuits and stuff that you can file against police. I saw this high-speed chase where the cops, there was like a car at an intersection. There's a high-speed chase happening, and the car that got hit by the guy fleeing, in the high-speed chase is like his 3rd vehicle already, and he goes and he hits this car at an intersection, goes into a gas station. The cops also hit that car at the intersection as they're like pursuing him into the gas station. The guy has his family in the car. He goes to get out of the car, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's like gunshots and stuff going off, and he's like, I'm in the middle of a like crossfire. I need to get my family out the way, right? He gets out of the vehicle, and the cops that are like at the back of the line chasing him think that he's the suspect and start putting him on the ground and arresting him. Just this random innocent bystander trying to get his family out the way.
Hey, it's better to be arrested by the cops in a miscommunication
Than be shot at.
shot by the cops.
No, I agree. I'm just saying he could probably get a nice settlement for that.
No, well,
Maybe, but was his
his face was pretty bruised up.
Did his family still stay in the car, or did they go after?
I'm not.
You know how many people got payouts in the Wild
You should have followed
West?
up with that story, Jay, and get all the fucking details.
I should've.
For bringing that shit to the
Dude,
table.
what kind of half-assed journalism?
I'm not a journalist. I'm a person smoking a hookah, talking at a table with my brothers.
I thought you were gonna say person of color, and I was like, that is obviously not the case. You fucking put your hair up, and you just think you're a person of color all of a sudden.
Hey, I just want to put this clear.
That.
I know it's not the correct terminology to use for our pigment of skin, but I mean, white, peach, brown, tan, I think they're all still colors on the spectrum. In fact, if we're looking at white is in the consideration of light. I know we're not light, but we're the absorption of all colors being reflected.
Well, I
That's
guess.
true. But
yeah.
on that note about race, let's talk about anti-Semitic comments that could possibly get your career ruined. And why you shouldn't say them, and why some might have said them. Because I'm talking more or less Kanye. Because I want to know where his mind's at in a lot of things.
Oh, and apparently he really liked Hitler.
I don't think he liked Hitler.
No, he was like talking about him. He was gonna name an album after him and stuff.
Does that mean
he got
really
talked away from it? And he said basically how fond he was of him.
Okay, let me ask you this: have you ever thought about this? Okay, now this might not be the topic of discussion at most people's Thanksgiving, so hopefully it's not. But with that being said, every single thing with different opinions nowadays likes to be linked to race baiting and like racist, bigot, homophobe, all these other stuff that you want to just like classify and call in somebody that has a different opinion. And it could be totally, the opinion that's different could be totally, removed from any of those topics. Mm-hmm. And yet it seems to be the first thing. So what if, I'm not saying Kanye's all there. What I'm saying is, history's never been quite like 100% accurate to what has been told to us. And with everything that's happening today, with everything that's different in subjects, and yet it's still got a label of race somehow, how is it that our history books might not have just labeled it as racism as Hitler's motive to, look, first off, I'm not justifying what Hitler did. It's a horrendous act and there was kids involved, and I don't like anything that has to do with kids being, removed from their families or having that kind of traumatic experience. But what I'm saying, hold on, is what the theory is it's easy to put it all on race and make it dumbified to a point of being only one thing, and it's just this racist bigot that decided to put a whole class of people in trains and put them in concentration camps. Well, if anything that I had talked about today, hold on, it might be, if it's different in opinions, it could easily be labeled as racist, or you can put racist on it, which is happening nowadays. So in 50 years from now, they might be seeing our current issues and the label on it is race bait. But it's not. It's clearly not. While we're living in it amongst ourselves, we know it's not. In the conversation, we know it's not. But it's being written by news medias, and propagating, all kinds of things, leaning it towards one specific thing, being racist, instead of just actually listing all the things that were coming up. What if it wasn't just with race with Hitler? What if it was actually the Ashkenazi Jews having a crazy amount of power in Germany at the time? Germany was impoverished. They were not having a good time. They were in a recession. And the only people that seemed to be in charge of anything were the Ashkenazi Jews. They were in charge of world banks. They were in charge of the currency at that time. And they were all prospering. So how else would you get like a whole bunch of people to be okay with the idea of getting these people separated and redistribution of wealth? That wasn't necessarily, what they thought was going to happen in the future with the whole concentration camps and gassing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But there's theories on that shit too. If you go down the rabbit hole, and I'm not saying any of this is fucking factual, you guys got to do your own research, but it's interesting enough to look that there's people that say the concentration camps had pools and rec centers and stuff like that weren't necessarily just work labor, stuff like that. But there was also a disease that went down in that time. And that's why you see a lot of pictures and videos of them being very, very skinny and stuff like that. There was a conglomerate amount of people in one place, which imagine with COVID, what we dealt with the pandemic, what happens with crowded people. Any kind of disease or anything like that could be spread like wildfire in a large amount of people in one place that are confined. So what was happening with the gassing, and like I said, it's just fucking theories, and it's a way to actually like get your mind fucking twisted on the idea of the shit that we told all the time in school could be fucking lies. Because they're lying to us all the fucking time anyway. Why the fuck, wouldn't they lie to us about something like this? You didn't even fucking live in Germany. you all these motherfuckers out there. You know?
I will say we do have first-hand accounts. We have people that were still alive today that lived through that, and the generation's dying out, but we still got.
You know who else is still alive today in that time? Fucking George Soros, that motherfucker.
Okay.
And he was on the German side, the Nazi side, and yet that motherfucker's still prospering. He's still in a big, he has an impact on today's culture just as well as he had an impact then.
You know what I saw?
So that's fucking stupid.
Recently I saw in a video, speaking of the Holocaust, not entirely over it in particular, but it was talking about how the motives behind the Germans towards the end, they knew they were losing the war on all fronts, yet they still, instead of like retreating, they spent all of their resources that they had to like finish what they started by exterminating as many Jews as they possibly could towards the end. Like literally, like trains and trains and trains, burning and burning and burning, capturing as many Jews as they could to kill as many as they could towards the end. Even winning was never an option for them. They knew they were never going to win the war. That was their main goal.
Was to kill as many as they could.
Was to kill as many, which shows the heart and shows the motive of those people.
Yeah, and
not necessarily all of the people, because obviously we know people in the armed forces, even in the United States of America, don't necessarily believe in the cause of all of the missions of their commanding officers and stuff like that. But you have to salute to rank, and you have to whatever's presented before you. You signed. You signed up for it. You signed your life for the cause of the nation for at least your term. You chose.
Kind of similar with what we have to deal with in the armed forces now.
Yeah.
Your morals could be against what is being ordered.
However,
to be done.
in order to not be disorderly discharged, you have to honor your orders.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. Sometimes you choose to. There were probably people on the German side too that went AWOL trying to get away from it because they didn't like it.
If you look at the underground, the resistance and stuff like that, there were Nazis in the meantime of that were working actively against the Nazi regime. There's some great books on actual real life accounts of this. One popular example is Oscar Schindler, who was definitely on the German side, was a person who benefited greatly off the war and made a lot of money.
You've never seen Schindler's List.
Yeah,
Liam Neeson crying at the end, wearing the golden ring. He could have saved more.
Well, don't spoil it for the people that haven't seen it.
But I also want to just clarify that I am not for the killing of Jews by any stretch of the means. But I just want to just clarify that we might not know our history as well as we think we do, and it might be construed many different ways from the truth. And all I'm saying is, Kanye, back to what I was getting at with the Jews and whole, anti-Semitic comments. I don't think it's right for anybody to say anything anti-Semitic. I don't think it's right to say anything against any specific stereotype. I'm a big judge on character individually, and I think it's all based on each person. Give the benefit of the doubt to every single person out there. You don't just judge a whole group of people based on your assumption of that group and what falls under it. But it's more or less anybody you come in contact with, whether they be a Jew, whether they be a Christian, Catholic, whatever, Buddhist, Muslim. The contents of one's heart is always the biggest thing to pay attention to, and actually base your opinion on a person off of that. So, just want to say, I'm not for anti-Semitism, whatever, and I'm not necessarily on Kanye's side. I just wanted to discuss it.
And apparently neither is Adidas, right?
No, Adidas isn't, but there's definitely a lot of people that are in these. He just talked to a paparazzi the other day, asked about the paparazzi at least asked about the anti-Semitic comments that were being made, and he made a valid point, and he already had it brought up, and he had a list of all these big executives of all the mainstream medias that actually canceled him. I'm talking about big fucking networks, billion-dollar networks and shit. And he had a list of all of the ones that were Jewish, red. And more than probably 98% of the list was red. And it was all fucking Jews that were in high executive positions and all these different brands and all these different, corporations that, pretty much rule what goes on in the media, and they're pretty much like, I don't know, they're the ones in charge of getting him removed from any platform. Kanye.
Well, I know, for instance, Adidas, that was most of his money that he lost was by losing his Adidas deal. Like 1.6. I don't know. He lost like $1.6 billion through
At
the
the
whole
time,
thing.
it was like the same as the lotto. So me and Jaden were talking about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of money that he'd lost, and he's not even a billionaire anymore. He's like a millionaire now, which I mean, still
he's
crazy.
got everything in his it's once you get famous like that, it's stock.
Yeah, it's stocks, and it was like, again, with the Adidas deal, and that's a German company. I mean, that's like,
Yeah, but I know Adidas doesn't necessarily is not run by Jews. Obviously, it's run by Germany, but you can't even talk about the Holocaust in Germany. Like, there's laws against even talking about it or bringing it up. You could go on a tour and go to some of the concentration camps, and if you like dabble and like ask too many questions about it, like you can get like there's fines and stuff. Like, it's at least what.
well, they had to do like a great overcorrection in history because like, I mean, they don't want to be like associated with that anymore. They don't want.
No,
that stuff
they
going
don't.
on in their
They've
country.
moved on and stuff like that. So it's understandable why Adidas would have a strong reaction to what was being said by Kanye, but.
And also,
nevertheless, like
ultimately, when it comes to companies, they're gonna do whatever makes their pockets bigger and have more money coming in. So they're gonna go with, if they're gonna fire somebody to make more money, they're gonna keep somebody on. I mean, they're doing whatever makes their price or what their stocks go up, everything like that. That's ultimately the motive of any person in a business.
Company image. The things that branding, it's all about what is your reputation, what are you going to try and advertise to your people.
Yeah. And also I guess with like the whole like Jews being the head of a bunch of companies, I mean, like, if the ultimate like head of companies is going to be like, whoever gets to the top of that company. I mean, I'm sure there could be some form of like nepotism and different things, different elements, that could get people. I mean, there's a ton of nepotism in companies. Obviously, there's probably some Jewish communities that like they all have other people that they know that are going to get in positions and share stocks with and bring to wealth and everything like that. But I mean, ultimately, like anybody that gets to that level of wealth can do that regardless of their race or religion. So
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of white people like that too.
no, I agree. It's just a fucking crazy topic to even be like at the top when knowing there's a lot of issues other than anti-Semitism, whatever you call it. Is it whatever the right way of saying that is?
Antisemitism. Or I probably added an extra syllable to that. I don't know.
Shoot,
I would call it anti-symmetry.
Anti-symmetry.
Anti-symmetry is those people that just like circles. Yeah.
What circles are symmetrical?
That is most symmetrical.
Yeah, the most symmetrical. Any way you divide it is always symmetrical.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think of...
Unless you divide it asymmetrically.
What? And how would you do that with the circle?
I guess.
Off center.
Yeah, you could put the line over here.
There's plenty of lines, intersections. In fact, you use circles to define different triangles that aren't right triangles to find their their outer angles and stuff like that for more complex.
I see. Okay. All right. I don't want to get into math here.
Yeah.
My brain starts hurting when we start talking about math.
So leaving it on math and anti-Semitism, whatever. Don't hate a Jew. Don't hate a Jew. Don't say hateful things.
I'll take it a step
But
further.
also hate a Jew. If that's what your cup of tea is as well.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Just don't, I'm not going to be the one to tell you what to do, okay?
Love your brother.
Love yourself.
As yourself. And love your enemies.
And also, we don't know a lot of the things we're talking about, so we could have said some stupid shit.
Yeah, we're pretty dumb.
We're still trying to figure it out.
So with this episode, hopefully we didn't lose y'all, but
and hopefully we didn't get canceled.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't get canceled on the
the.
come up. I mean, I don't even think you can cancel us at this point because we're so new. But
No, cancel culture's coming for everybody.
Oh shit! They're even coming for babies. Hi, good babies.